Hey y'all, welcome back to Money Mondays. Today I'm bringing you my first quarterly update to track my progress on becoming financially independent in 10 years. So how'd I do? If you'd like all the details of how I plan on becoming financially independent in the next 10 years, check out my 10-year FIRE plan video that I posted in January. This is going to be my first quarterly update where I'm going to be comparing my numbers from where I was at the start of the year to where I am now at the end of the first quarter of 2021. So these updates will focus on tracking my net worth as well as what percentage of my F.I.N number I've invested so far. All right, so looking first at my assets. You can see that my home value has stayed the same at $337,000. When I purchased my home in 2018, that is what it appraised for. I bought it for $245,000 and put about $30,000 worth of renovations into it. And so I was able to come out with a nice home appraisal value that allowed me to have some equity from the jump. I'm not going to change or alter this number throughout my updates until I get another accurate appraisal of my home, mainly because I don't want to use any of the online guesstimates to either overinflate or underinflate this value. I want as close to an accurate value of what my net worth really is. And so I'm going to stick with this number throughout my updates. Now, looking next at my liquid assets, which include my emergency fund, checking account, and savings accounts, you can see that it dropped from $58,000 down to $44,000. Now, this is expected, and this has been the plan all along. The money that I have saved in my emergency fund is specifically for me to live off of between now and November of 2021. I am still a current grad student and I don't have any source of income. I'm living off of student loans. And a bulk of the money that is in here is student loans as well as other savings that I've acquired over the last couple of years. So this number will continue to dwindle. It won't get fully to zero, but it'll get very close to zero by the time November rolls around. Now, moving on to my retirement savings, you can see that I've had a nice increase here. I went from about $23,000 up to about $30,000. And this is really exciting because I have not invested any additional money from January until now. That $7,000-ish gain is solely capital gains and reinvested dividends. So that makes me very, very excited because obviously my retirement savings are outpacing the goal that I have to track the S&P 500. So I'm doing very well there. So that brings my total assets from $419,104.53 at the start of the year to $412,076.52 at the end of quarter one, for a decrease of $7,028.01. Normally, no one wants to see their asset amount decrease over the course of 3 months when they're on a path to financial independence. However, understanding my current situation, knowing that I have no income and that I'm literally living off of my savings right now, I'm going to see this as a win because my retirement savings, which is the number I do want to go up, is actually going up. So yes, there is an overall decrease, but to me, it's a major win in the asset department. All right, so now let's take a look at the debts. At the start of the year, my mortgage balance was right around $258,000. 3 months later, $2,000 a month mortgage payment later, I have been able to chip it away down to $257,000. As we know, when you first start off paying off a home, the bulk of your mortgage payment is going to go to interest. Very little of it's going to go to principal. So there's no difference here. Very little is going to principal and it's chipping it away little by little. But that's okay because my mortgage is one of my low interest debts. So I'm only paying minimums on that right now as I have a focus to pay off my credit card debt. Now, my next debt is my student loan, And unfortunately, this number is not going to be changing anytime soon either. So it was at 195,000 at the start of the year. It is still at 195,000. I guess you could say that the good news is that this number won't change because thanks to the current COVID relief bill, there's a freeze on interest accrual for all federally backed student loans between now and September of 2021. So my loans normally would be accruing interest at this time, which it will not be. So even though I'm not paying it off, it's also not growing. And if you recall from my 10-year FIRE plan video, I did talk about the fact that this loan has accrued about $7,500 of interest so far, that it accrued before the freeze happened. So I do have plans on paying off that interest, maybe a little bit of the principal as well, before I have to start paying back the loan in November of this year. So that brings me to my credit card debt. Now, my United card, I did a balance transfer, and I explained that in another video as well that you can check out. But I did a balance transfer, and it is currently also earning 0% interest from now until August of this year. Even though it's at 0% interest, I'm treating it as my high interest debt because the sole goal was to have this particular debt paid off before I started my new job. I wanted to get rid of all old debt that I had and only be going into this new chapter of my life with my new student loan and my home mortgage. So you can see that this balance has gone down from a little over $9,900 at the start of the year to almost right at $9,000 here at the end of Q1. That's because while it has a minimum payment of $90, I'm applying $435.27 towards this payment every month. That extra amount is a accumulation of the debt avalanche that I've actually been working on for the last decade or so. I had various debts, my undergrad debt, other credit cards and things that I've been paying off all of these years. And all of that has finally snowballed or avalanched into the $435 payment that is solely going to this credit card at this time. Once I have this credit card paid off, I will probably start chunking that money away towards my student loan, since that'll be my next highest interest debt. All right, so this brings my total debt from a little over $463,000 in January to just under $462,000 here at the end of Q1. So I definitely see that as a win, as my overall debt balance is going down. Now, taking a look at my net worth, we see that in January, I had a net worth of negative $44,000. And now my net worth is a negative $49,879.36, which gives me a net worth decrease of $5,387.66. Again, obviously, no one wants to see their net worth go down in their journey to financial independence. But like I mentioned, when we looked at my assets, this is something that I'm anticipating to continue over the course of this year as I'm finishing up school and before I start work. Okay, so now let's take a look at my progress towards my financial independence number. If you recall from my FIRE plan video, my financial independence number is $1.5 million. This gives me a F.I.N number of $1.2 million plus the inflation that will accrue over the next 10 years. So basically, it will allow me to live off of around $50,000 a year in today's dollars once I hit my financial independence goal. So with my retirement accounts calculated for the end of Q1, you can see that I'm at $30,326.59. This means that as of the end of Q1, I am 2.02% of the way towards my financial independence number. This is really exciting to me because By the end of this year, I should be 8% of the way towards my financial independence number. And the likelihood of that happening is actually pretty low, given the fact that I'm not making any income this year. So I cannot be putting away the $7,000 a month that I need to for this year to be on track. So it's kind of astonishing to me right now that at the end of quarter one, I'm a quarter of the way there. I'm actually relatively on track. I definitely want to give all of the credit to the fact that my investments have been doing very well and have been outpacing my 9.8% goal. But I know that's not always going to be the case. But at the same time, I will be making more money and getting raises while I'm working. And so there's money that I'll be making in the future that I did not even account for. And so I'll know I'll be able to make this up on the back end when I start to get behind later this year. But for right now, super excited that I'm technically on track for hitting my year one end goal towards my financial independence number. Another goal that I'm adding right now that I didn't have in my last video is my 2-year emergency fund goal. I talk about having 2 years saved in your emergency fund for retirement because the average recession lasts about 18 months. So you want to be able to have enough cash reserves to live off of so that you're not pulling from your investments and potentially eating away at any principal during a recession. Now, I don't need to get to the 2-year mark till the end of my 10 years, but I definitely want to accrue 6 months of my goal, of my living expenses upfront right now for purposes of a right now emergency fund. Now, I will be living off of about $46,000 a year or so while I'm on this journey to financial independence. So I rounded it up to $50,000. That is what my retirement income will be. So half of that is $25,000. So I want to get to $25,000 as soon as possible. And I set a goal of about $12,500 for the end of this year that I want to reach. As of right now, I will have about $3,125 towards my real emergency fund, which puts me 3.13% of the way towards this goal. So that's pretty exciting as well because this is an emergency fund completely separate from the one I'm currently living off of. Remember, the one I'm living off of that we talked about in my assets, that is expected to dwindle to nearly nothing by the end of the year. So I also have to think about building a real emergency fund for when I start working and everything like that, as well as for my long-term goals. And so that's what this fund is. The $100,000 is my overall real emergency fund that I will not actually touch, okay? And so for that, I am 3% of the way there, and that's very, very exciting. So there you have it. That's my quarter one progress update for my net worth and the progress that I'm making towards my financial independence number. This is going to be really exciting to be able to track my progress with you all. It's definitely going to hold me accountable through these next 10 years, and I'm excited to go on this journey with you. Hopefully you were able to take away some information that can help you on your own financial independence journey. I'd love to hear your quarter one update for your financial goals for 2021. Are you on a FIRE journey as well? Are you working towards your F.I.N number or building up an emergency fund or paying off debt? Let me know in the comments below where you're at, what your goals are, and how you're doing so far to get there for this year. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next Monday.